Commander Jake Sullivan was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. The sound echoed through every hallway of the UN's Liberty, the biggest ship in humanity's newest fleet. Jake nearly dropped his cup as he ran to the bridge.
Ah!
Going on? He shouted over the noise. Lieutenant Ben Torres looked up from his station, his face pale. Sir, we're getting a signal. It's not from Earth. It's not from any human ship. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. In 50 years of space travel, humans had only met 3 alien species. All of them had been friendly, but distant. None of them had ever called for help. Put it on the main screen, Jake ordered. The bridge went quiet as the message played. The voice was strange, high-pitched, and musical. It spoke in broken words that Jake could barely understand. Help, ... please help. We are dying, ... the swarm comes. They eat everything, ... please ... The message cut off into static. Jake stared at the screen, feeling a chill run down his back. Where did it come from? He asked. Torres checked his instruments. The Kepler system, sir. About 200 light-years from here. Jake nodded slowly. The Kepler system was far away, but not impossible to reach. The human fleet had new jump drives that could cover that distance in a few days.
Get me, Dr. Martinez!
Jake said. Now. Dr. Lisa Martinez arrived on the bridge 10 minutes later, still wearing her pajamas. She was the fleet's expert on alien languages, a small woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. Play it again, she said, pulling up a chair next to the communications. Station. Jake nodded to Torres, who replayed the message. Dr. Martinez listened carefully, her fingers moving as she took notes. It's Galactic Standard, she said after the third replay. But whoever sent this is scared, really scared. They're speaking too fast and using words wrong. Can you translate it properly? Jake asked. Give me an hour, Martinez said. But I can tell you one thing right now. That word they keep using, swarm. It's not just any swarm. It's in Galactic Standard. It means something specific, something that eats planets. Jake felt cold. He'd fought in 3 wars on Earth, but this sounded worse than anything he had ever faced. Get me Admiral Cooper, he ordered. Emergency meeting in 1 hour. Admiral Ryan Cooper was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 40 years in Earth's military before taking command of humanity's first deep space fleet. Listen to the alien message 3 times before speaking. How many ships do we have? He asked. Captain Amy Brooks, commander of the destroyer Uns Defiant, checked her tablet. 12 heavy cruisers, 40 destroyers, and 6 carriers. About 15,000 crew total, and our mission. Deep space exploration, said Captain Sam Davis from the cruiser Uns Vanguard. We're supposed to map new star systems and look for planets humans can live on. Admiral Cooper nodded. But now we have this. He gestured at the screen where the alien message had played. Dr. Martinez walked into the meeting room, carrying a thick folder. I've got a better translation, she said. The species calling for help are the Valari. They're traders, peaceful. People who travel between star systems selling goods. She opened her folder and pulled out pictures of the aliens. They looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin and 4 arms. Their faces were kind, with large eyes and small mouths. They're asking for help against something called the swarm, Martinez continued. From what I can understand, these creatures eat everything. Planets, ships, entire civilizations. How long do the Valari have? Admiral Cooper asked. Based on the message, maybe a week, maybe less. The room went silent. Captain Brooks was the first to speak. We have to help them, she said. We can't just let an entire species die. Captain Davis shook his head. We don't know anything about this enemy. We could be flying into a trap. Or we could make things worse. How could we make things worse? Brooks asked. They're already dying. We could die too, Davis replied. And then Earth loses its entire deep space fleet. Admiral Cooper held up his hand for silence. What do we know about human fighting? Abilities compared to other species. Dr. Martinez flipped through her notes. From what we've learned, most alien species are peaceful. They developed on planets with stable weather and few predators. They don't fight wars like humans do. Meaning they're not very good. At it, Martinez said simply. Humans are unusual. We come from a dangerous planet. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. Most aliens think we're crazy. Jake leaned forward. Maybe that's exactly what these Valerie need. Someone crazy enough to fight when everyone else runs away. Admiral Cooper stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars looked cold and distant. Somewhere out there, an alien species was dying. I've made my decision, he said finally. We're going to help them. Captain Davis looked unhappy. Sir, I have to protest. This is not our fight. It is now, Cooper replied. Send word to all ships. We leave for the Kepler system in 6 hours. There's something out there eating planets. We need to stop it before it comes looking for Earth. As the meeting ended, Jake felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Humanity was about to face its first real test among the stars. He just hoped they were ready for whatever they would find. The UN's Liberty's engines roared to life as the human fleet prepared to jump into the unknown. Behind them, Earth grew smaller and smaller until it was just another star. Ahead of them lay darkness, danger, and humanity's destiny among the stars. The jump to the Kepler system took 3 days. 3 days of pushing the human fleet's engines harder than they had ever been pushed before. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia barely slept during the journey. He spent most of his time running between ships, checking systems and fixing problems. The jump drives weren't built for this kind of distance, Tony told Commander Jake Sullivan over the radio. We're lucky if half our ships make it without breaking down. Jake watched the stars blur past his window. The jump drive made space look like a tunnel of light. It was beautiful, but he knew how dangerous it was. One small mistake, and the entire fleet could be lost in empty space. How much longer, Jake asked. 6 more hours, Tony replied. Maybe 8 if the Liberty's engine keeps acting up. Jake nodded and closed the radio connection. Around him, the bridge crew worked quietly. Everyone knew they were heading into danger. The alien distress call had stopped 2 days ago. That could mean the Valari had been saved. Or it could mean they were all dead. Dr. Lisa Martinez walked onto the bridge carrying a cup of coffee and a thick book about alien languages. Any luck understanding more of their message? Jake asked. Martinez shook her head. I've learned a few more words, but not much. The Valari don't talk about war or fighting in their normal language. They have very few words for violence. It's not good, Jake said. No, it's not. It means they're not ready for whatever they're facing. Suddenly, the ship shook. The lights flickered and then came back on. Lieutenant Ben Torres looked up from his station. We're dropping out of jump space, he announced. Arriving at the Kepler system now. Jake felt his stomach drop as the stars stopped moving. Through the front window, he could see a yellow star in the distance. Around it were several planets, but Jake couldn't see them clearly yet. All ships report in, Jake ordered. One by one, the human ships called in. 2 destroyers had engine problems, but everyone had made it. Jake felt relief wash over him. Scanner report, he called out. Torres worked at his station for several minutes before looking up with a worried expression. Sir, I'm reading the Valari. Homeworld. It's the 3rd planet from the star. But there's something else there, something big. Put it on the main screen. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge gasp. The planet Theraprime was beautiful, with blue oceans and green countenance. But around it floated massive shapes that looked like living ships. Each one was the size of a small moon, dark and twisted. Those are bioships, Dr. Martinez whispered. Living spacecraft. I've read about them in old alien texts, but I thought they were just stories. Jake counted the shapes around the planet. How many? 12 large ones, Torres replied. Maybe 50 smaller ones. And sir, I'm not reading many Valari ships. Jake's heart sank. The Valari fleet must have been destroyed or scattered. Get me Admiral Cooper, Jake ordered. Admiral Cooper's face appeared on the screen a few minutes. Later, behind him, Jake could see the bridge of Cooper's flagship. I see them too, Cooper said before Jake could speak. Those bioships match the descriptions we have of the Devourers. The Devourers? Jake asked. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. An ancient species. Right. They travel from system to system, eating everything alive. Planets, animals, even other alien species. Most civilizations run when they hear the Devourers are coming. But the Volari didn't run, Jake said. The Volari can't run, Martinez replied sadly. This is their only planet. They have nowhere else to go. Admiral Cooper's expression grew. Grim. Lieutenant Colonel Kate Wilson, prepare your fighters for a reconnaissance mission. I want to know what we're dealing with. Colonel Wilson was the fleet's best pilot and the leader of the Marine fighters. She was a small, tough woman who had never backed down from a fight. Yes, sir, Wilson replied over the radio. Taking my squadron out now. Jake watched as 12 small fighters launched from the carrier ships. They were tiny compared to the massive bioships. It's like insects flying around elephants. For 20 minutes, the fighters circled the planet, taking pictures and recording everything they saw. When they returned, Colonel Wilson's face was pale. It's bad, she reported to the assembled officers. Really bad. Those bioships aren't just orbiting the planet. They're feeding on it. She put her recordings on the main screen. Now, the images showed the planet's surface in terrible detail. Now, the 4 continents were gray and lifeless. The bioships had long tentacles reaching down to the ground, sucking up everything they touched. The Volari are trapped on the last continent, Wilson continued. I counted maybe 1 million of them in refugee camps. But the bioships are moving. Toward them. How long do they have? Admiral Cooper asked. Maybe 2 days? The bioships move slowly, but they never stop. Jake felt sick. An entire alien civilization was about to be eaten alive, and the human fleet was the only thing that could stop it. Can we contact the Volari? Cooper asked. Dr. Martinez worked at her station. I'm trying to reach them now. After several minutes, a new voice came through the speakers. It was different from the distress call, calmer, but very tired. This is Admiral Zektar of the Volari Defense Fleet. Who are you? Martinez translated quickly. This is the human fleet from Earth. We received your distress call. We're here too. Help! There was a long pause. Then Admiral Zektar spoke again, and Martinez translated. He's asking if we're insane. Says no one fights the Devourers. Everyone runs. Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was scared, but they were ready to fight. Humans had never run from a fight when others needed help. Tell him, Jake said, slowly, that humans don't run. Another pause. Then Admiral Zektar's voice came back, and for the first time, it sounded hopeful. Martinez smiled as she translated. Says maybe insane is exactly what they need right now. Outside the ship, the massive bioships continued their slow advance toward the last free continent on Thera Prime. But now, they weren't alone in the system. The human fleet hung in space between the Devourers and their prey, small but determined. The first battle between humanity and an ancient galactic threat was about to begin. The battle began at dawn on Thera Prime. Admiral Cooper had spent all night planning the attack with his officers. The human fleet was tiny compared to the Devourer bioships, but they had one advantage that no other species possessed. Most aliens fight with energy weapons, Cooper explained to his captains. Lasers, plasma beams, things like that. But humans have always been good at throwing rocks. Captain Amy Brooks smiled grimly. Very fast, very heavy rocks. The human ships were loaded with weapons that other species thought were primitive, railguns that fired metal slugs at incredible speeds, nuclear missiles that could destroy entire cities. Most importantly, tactics learned from centuries of human warfare. Remember, Cooper said over the fleet radio, we're not trying to win. We're trying to buy time for the Volari to evacuate. Hit hard, move fast, and don't let them surround us. Commander Jake Sullivan felt his heart racing as the Liberty moved into position. Around him, his crew worked quickly and quietly. Everyone knew this was humanity's first real space battle. All ships, attack formation, Cooper ordered. The human fleet split into 3 groups. Captain Sam Davis led the first group in a direct assault on the largest bioship. Captain Brooks took her destroyers around the planet's moon, planning to attack from behind. Colonel Kate Wilson's fighters would protect the Volari evacuation ships. Here we go, Jake muttered, as the Liberty's weapons powered up. The first salvo. came from Davis's group. 20 ships fired at once, sending hundreds of metal slugs racing toward the bioship. The slugs moved so fast they looked like streaks of light. The bioship's surface rippled as the projectiles hit. Dark liquid sprayed into space. The creature let out a sound that came through the radio, a deep, angry roar that made everyone's skin crawl. "We heard it," Lieutenant Ben Torres said with surprise. "It's actually bleeding, but the bioship didn't die. Instead, it began to change. The wounds closed up and new growths appeared on its surface. Long tentacles reached out toward the human ships. Evasive maneuvers Davis ordered over the radio. The human ships scattered as the tentacles lashed out. One destroyer wasn't fast enough. The tentacle wrapped around it and began to squeeze. The ship's hull groaned and cracked. "This is the uns." "Ranger," the ship's captain called out. "We're trapped. Hull breach on all decks." Jake watched in horror as the bioship began to pull the destroyer toward its mouth, a massive opening that had appeared on its surface. "Fire everything at that." "Tentacle," Cooper ordered. The entire fleet turned their weapons on the tentacle holding the Ranger. Nuclear missiles exploded against it, and railgun slugs punched through its flesh. Finally, the tentacle released the destroyer, but the ship was badly damaged. "Ranger is out of the fight," Davis reported, "but we proved something. These things can be hurt." Meanwhile, Colonel Wilson was leading her fighters toward the planet's surface. Her job was to protect the Volari evacuation ships, but she could see the bioships were adapting to human weapons. "They're learning," she reported to Cooper. "The smaller bioships are growing thicker skin. Our guns aren't working as well." The planet's surface, the Volari, were loading their people into every ship they could find. The aliens moved with 4 arms, working twice as fast as humans could. But they were also terrified. Dr. Lisa Martinez was aboard one of the evacuation ships, helping to coordinate the rescue. The Volari she met were tall and graceful, with kind eyes and gentle voices. They treated her like a hero just for being there. "Why do you help us?" asked a young Volari named Sekler. "Your people do not know us. We have nothing to give you," Martinez smiled. "Humans help because it's the right thing to do. We don't need a reason." The Volari looked confused. "You might die. Your ships might be destroyed." "Then we die fighting," Martinez replied. "That's what humans do."
"Back in space."
Battle was getting worse. The bioships were adapting faster than anyone had expected. They grew new weapons, new defenses, and new ways to attack. Sir Torres called out from his station. "I'm reading something strange. The bioships are talking to each other." "Talking?" Jake asked. "Some kind of biological radio they're sharing?" "Information about our weapons and tactics?" Jake felt a chill. The enemy was learning from every attack, getting stronger with each passing minute. "We need to try something they can't adapt to," he said. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia had an idea. "Hey, what if we use their own technology against them?" "I've been studying the bioship samples that Wilson collected. They have some kind of biological computer system." "Can we hack it?" Cooper asked. "Not hack," Garcia replied. "In fact, I can create a computer virus that targets biological systems. But I need to get close to one of the bioships to plant it." Captain Brooks volunteered immediately. The Defiant. "Can do it?" "We're the fastest ship in the fleet." "Suicide," Davis warned. "You'll have to get right next to one of those things." "Then we better make it count," Brooks replied. While Garcia worked on his virus, the battle continued. The human fleet was taking heavy damage. 3 more destroyers were destroyed, and several others were badly hurt. They were buying time. For the Volari evacuation, 60% of the Volari civilians are off-planet, Wilson reported. "But the bioships are moving faster. They know what we're trying to do." Cooper made a difficult decision. "All ships, prepare for final assault. We're going to hit the largest bioship with everything we have." Sir Martinez called out from the evacuation ship, "I'm getting a transmission from the bioships. They want to talk." The voice that came through the radio was unlike anything the humans had heard before. It was thousands of voices speaking at once, creating a sound like wind through a forest. "Small warmbloods," the voice said in perfect English. "You fight well, but you do not understand. We are not destroyers. We are gardeners." "Gardeners?" Cooper asked. "We prune the galaxy." We remove the weak so the strong can grow. This is our purpose. This is our duty. Dr. Martinez was translating for the Volari, who became very upset when they heard this. The Volari say the Devourers are lying, she reported. They don't prune anything. They just eat and move on. The Devourer voice continued. Join us, Warmbloods. Your species shows promise. Wrote, help us garden the galaxy, and we will spare your world. Cooper's response was immediate. Go to hell. The bioships stopped trying to communicate. Instead, they began moving faster toward the planet. The largest one opened its mouth, revealing rows of teeth the size of buildings. All ships attack. Now, Cooper ordered. The human fleet fired everything they had at the bioship. Nuclear missiles, railgun slugs, plasma torpedoes, and Garcia's experimental virus. The bioship screamed as it was hit, but it kept moving toward the planet. It's not enough, Davis said grimly. We need more time. That's when the Volari surprised everyone. Instead of running, the remaining Volari warships joined the battle. They were small and lightly armed, but they fought with desperate courage. Is Admiral Zektar, came the translation from Martinez. Volari fleet, attack formation. For our children and our future. The combined human and Volari fleet struck the bioships together. It was the first time in galactic history that two species had fought side by side against the Devers, and slowly, impossibly, they began to win. The combined fleet had won the first battle, but everyone knew it was just the beginning. The bioships were wounded but not dead. Worse, more Devourer ships were coming from deep space. Admiral Cooper's sensors showed at least 20 more bioships heading toward the system. We have maybe 6 hours before they arrive, Commander Jake Sullivan reported. We're down to half our fighting strength. Admiral Cooper looked tired. His flagship had taken heavy damage, and several of his best captains were dead. But his eyes were still determined. Gather all senior officers, he ordered. We need to talk about what makes humans different. In the meeting room of the damaged, UN's Liberty, the surviving human commanders, sat around a table with Admiral Zektar and 3 other Volari officers. The aliens looked elegant, even in their military uniforms, but their large eyes showed fear. Admiral Zektar, Cooper began. How long have the Devourers been attacking civilizations? Dr. Lisa Martinez translated the question. The Volari admiral spoke for several minutes before Martinez turned back to the humans. He says the Devourers have been gardening the galaxy for over 50,000 years. No species has ever defeated them. Most civilizations run when they hear the Devourers are coming. But you didn't run, Captain Amy Brooks said to the Volari. We had nowhere to go, came the translated reply. This is our only world. Cooper nodded slowly. That's the difference between us and most other species. Humans come from a death world. The Volari looked confused. Martinez explained what Cooper meant. Earth is dangerous, she told them. Ice ages that last thousands of years, volcanoes that block out the sun, diseases that kill millions, predators that hunt in packs. Most of human history has been about surviving things that want to kill us. Admiral Zektar spoke and Martinez translated. He asks what this has to do with fighting the Devourers. Cooper smiled grimly. It means we're used to fighting when we're outnumbered. We're used to losing battles and still winning wars. And most importantly, we're used to fighting dirty. Chief, Engineer Tony Garcia entered the meeting room, looking excited despite the situation. I've got good news and bad news, he announced. The bad news is that my virus didn't kill the bioship, but the good news is that it's still inside their system, and I learned how their biology works. Explain, Cooper said. Garcia pulled up a hologram showing the inside of a bioship. These things aren't just ships. They're like giant organisms. Each one has organs, a nervous system, even something like a brain. But here's the interesting part. They're all connected. Connected how? Jake asked. Think of them like ants in a colony. Each bioship is smart, but they share information through some kind of biological network. When one learns something, they all learn it. Captain Sam Davis frowned. That's why. They adapted to our weapons so quickly. Exactly. But it's also their weakness. If we can disrupt their network, they'll lose their ability to coordinate. Admiral Zektar spoke through Martinez. He says there are old stories about a queen bioship. The largest one controls all the others. Where is this queen? Cooper asked. The Valari admiral pointed to his star charts. Coming with the reinforcements. It's the size of a small moon. Cooper was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked around the table at his officers. We're going to do something that no other species has ever tried, he said. We're going to attack the queen directly. Sir Davis said carefully, that's suicide. How do we even get close to something that big? By thinking like humans instead of like other aliens, Cooper replied. Garcia, how long would it take to modify our remaining nuclear weapons? What kind of modifications? The kind that would let us plant them inside a bioship instead of just hitting the outside? Garcia's eyes widened. You want to put bombs inside the queen? I want to put the biggest bombs we have right in its brain. The Valari were shocked when Martinez translated this plan. Admiral Zektar spoke rapidly, waving all four of his arms. Says we're insane, Martinez reported. No one has ever tried. To board a bioship, the inside is supposed to be full of immune systems that attack anything foreign. Colonel Kate Wilson, who had been quiet during most of the meeting, finally spoke up. Good thing humans have the best immune systems in the galaxy then. She was right. Humans had evolved on a world full of diseases and toxins. Their immune systems were incredibly strong compared to most alien species. I'll lead the boarding team, Wilson continued. My Marines are trained for hostile environments. It's too dangerous, Davis protested. We don't know what's inside. Those things, Wilson smiled. That's never stopped Marines before. Admiral Zektar spoke again, and Martinez looked surprised as she translated. He says the Valari want to help. They have shield technology that might protect our ships long enough to get close to the Queen. Why would you risk it? Cooper asked the Valari admiral. The answer came back through Martinez, 'cause humans are the first species that ever stayed. To fight for us, Valari do not forget their friends. Over the next few hours, the human and Valari engineers worked together to prepare for the most dangerous mission in galactic history. The Valari shared their advanced shield technology, while the humans modified their nuclear weapons and planned the boarding assault. Garcia created hybrid weapons that combined human explosives with Valari energy systems. The result was more powerful than anything either species had built alone. These should be able to punch through the bioship's outer shell, he explained to Wilson. But once you're inside, you're on your own. Wilson and her Marines prepared their equipment. They wore special armor designed to protect against biological attacks. Their weapons were modified to work in the strange environment inside a living ship. Remember, Wilson told her team, we're not just fighting for humanity anymore, we're fighting for the Valari too. If we fail, the Devourers will probably come for Earth next. As the Devourer reinforcements approached the system, the combined human-Valari fleet prepared for their desperate gamble. The Queen bioship was massive, easily 10 times larger than anything they had faced before. All ships, final weapons check, Cooper ordered. We get one shot at this. If we miss, it's over. Jake looked out at the approaching bioships. They moved through space like living nightmares, dark and twisted against the stars. But for the first time since the battle began, he felt hope. Humans had never been the strongest or the fastest species, but they had always been the most stubborn. When faced with impossible odds, they didn't give up. They got creative. Queen bioship entering weapons range, Torres reported. Cooper took a deep breath. All ships begin final approach. For humanity, for the Valari, and for every species the Devourers have destroyed. The fleet moved forward toward the massive Queen, ready to attempt something that had never been tried in 50,000 years of galactic history. The fate of two civilizations depended on the courage of humans who refused to run from a fight. The Queen bioship was the most terrifying thing Commander Jake Sullivan had ever seen. It was the size of a small moon, covered in dark flesh that pulsed like a heartbeat. Thousands of tentacles waved around it, and its mouth could swallow an entire human city. All ships attack formation, Admiral Cooper ordered over the radio. "Remember, we need to get Colonel Wilson's team close enough to board that thing."
Oh.
The combined human and Valari fleet spread out around the Queen. The smaller Devourer bioships tried to protect their Queen, but Captain Amy Brooks led her destroyers. In a series of hit-and-run attacks that kept them busy, "Valari shields are holding," reported Captain Sam Davis from the UN's Vanguard. "But I don't know how long they'll last against those tentacles." Jake watched as one of the Queen's massive tentacles smashed into a Valari cruiser. The alien ship's shields flared bright blue, but they held. Without the Valari technology, the human fleet would have been destroyed in minutes. "Wilson, you're up," Cooper called out. Colonel Kate Wilson's assault ship, the UNS Hammer, raced toward the Queen bioship. It was a small, fast vessel designed for boarding actions. Behind Wilson, 20 of humanity's best Marines prepared for the most dangerous mission of their lives. "Remember the plan?" Wilson told her team over the radio. "Get in, find the brain, plant the bombs, get out." "Simple, simple," muttered Sergeant Rick Hayes, checking his weapon for the 10th time. "Right?" The Queen bioship noticed the small human ship approaching. Dozens of tentacles reached out to crush it, but Wilson was an excellent pilot. She dodged and weaved through the attacks, getting closer and closer to the creature's surface. "There," shouted Private Danny Clark, pointing out the window. "That looks like an opening." Wilson saw it too, fold in the bioship's flesh that looked like a wound. She aimed the hammer straight at it. "Hold on," she warned. "This is going to hurt." The assault ship crashed through the opening and into the bioship's interior. The walls around them were pink and wet, pulsing with alien life. Strange liquids dripped from the ceiling. "Everyone out," Wilson ordered. "Seal your suits. Don't know what that stuff is." The Marines moved quickly through the bioship's corridors. The walls were alive, covered with things that looked like veins and arteries. Sometimes the floor would move under their feet, trying to trap them. "This place gives me the creeps," said Corporal Lisa Ford, her voice tense over the radio. "Stay focused," Wilson replied. Garcia's scans showed the brain should be about 2 miles toward the center. Outside the bioship, the space battle was getting worse. Admiral Cooper watched as more of his ships took damage. The Queen's tentacles were incredibly strong, and her smaller bioships were adapting to human weapons again. "Sir," called Lieutenant Ben Torres from his station, "I'm reading massive energy buildup from the Queen. I think it's preparing some kind of weapon." Cooper felt his heart sink. If the Queen had a super weapon, the entire fleet was doomed. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," he ordered. Inside the bioship, Wilson's team was making progress. They had fought their way past several of the creature's immune responses, things that looked like white blood cells but were the size of cars. The Marines' weapons worked well against them, but the team was getting tired. "How much further?" asked Hayes, breathing hard. Wilson checked her scanner. "Half a mile. But look at this." Ahead of them, the corridor opened into a massive chamber. The center was a huge pulsing organ that glowed with soft light. Smaller bioships floated around it like planets around a sun. "That's it," Wilson said. "That's the brain." But as they approached, something unexpected happened. The brain began to speak. "Stop," it said in a voice like wind through leaves. "Do not destroy us. We are not what you think." Dr. Lisa Martinez, who was monitoring the mission from the Liberty, quickly translated for the Valari. Admiral Zektar's response was immediate and angry. "The Valari say it's lying," Martinez reported. "They've seen what the Devourers do to civilizations." But the brain continued speaking. "We are old, so very old. We have been doing our duty for 50,000 years, removing the weak so the strong can survive. But we are tired. We want to rest." Wilson kept her weapon trained on the brain. "Then why don't you just stop? 'Cause we cannot. Our biology compels us. We must feed, must grow, must prune the galaxy. It is what we were made for." Wilson looked at her team. The Marines were ready to plant the bombs, but something in the creature's voice made her hesitate. "What if there was another way?" she asked. "What if you could feed without killing entire civilizations?" "Impossible. We require living matter. Planets, cities, people." That's when Chief Engineer Tony Garcia had an idea, was monitoring the conversation from his ship, and he quickly called Admiral Cooper. "Sir, what if we could give them what they need without them having to destroy anyone?" "What do you mean, dead planets?" "Space debris, failed colonies. The galaxy is full of dead matter. And with human technology, we could process it to give them the biological materials they need." Cooper was quiet for a moment. It was crazy, but it might work. "Wilson," he called over the radio, "hold your position. I want to try something." When the bioship's brain chamber, Wilson lowered her weapon slightly. "My admiral wants to make you an offer." Cooper's voice came through the radio, and Martinez translated it for the bioships. "We can give you what you need without you having to kill anyone. Dead worlds, asteroid fields, old space stations. We can process them into the biological matter you require. All we ask is that you stop attacking living civilizations." The brain was quiet for a long time. Round it, the smaller bioships pulsed with light as they communicated. "You would do this?" the brain finally asked. "You would help the creatures that tried to destroy you?" "That's what humans do," Cooper replied. "We help, even when it doesn't make sense." "And if we refuse?" Wilson raised her weapon again. "Then we blow you up and fight the rest of your kind until one of us is extinct." The brain made a sound like laughter. "Deathworlders. We understand now. You are the species our old memories warned us about. It's the ones who fight impossible battles and somehow win. Do we have a deal?" Cooper asked. "Yes," the brain replied. "We accept your offer. We will stop the harvest of living worlds, but you must help us find new sources of food." The space battle stopped immediately. The bioships pulled back from the planet, and the Volari evacuation ships returned safely to the surface. 6 months later, Commander Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the Liberty as it approached Earth. Behind them followed a small fleet of Volari ships and, surprisingly, several Devourer Biodash ships. The arrangement was working. Human engineers and Volari scientists worked with the Devourers to process dead matter from asteroid fields and failed colonies. The ancient creatures were finally getting the rest they had wanted for so long. Incoming message from Earth Command. Torres reported Admiral Cooper's face appeared on the screen, looking much more relaxed than he had during the battle. "The Galactic Council wants to meet with us," he announced. "Apparently, word has spread about what we did at Thera Prime. 17 different species have sent requests for help with various problems." Jake smiled. Humanity had proven itself. Among the stars, not through conquest, but through courage and compassion. "So what's our next mission?" he asked. Cooper grinned. "Saving the galaxy one species at a time." "Welcome to humanity's new job, Commander." As the Earth grew larger in the front window, Jake felt proud of what they had accomplished. Humans were no longer alone in the universe. They had allies, friends, and even former enemies who had become partners. The galaxy would never be the same. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they brought with them something the universe had been missing for too long: hope.